What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. This is one I've wanted to make for a really long time, so I'm excited to bring you all 10 JRPGs that have aged incredibly well. These are games that came out 20 plus years ago that still hold up so well today. You can go back to these games now and they rival any experience you'd have with modern games. I love the classics, and while some of them are practically unplayable these days, the ones on this list are perfect to jump into. Say, for example, you just started getting into JRPGs and wanted to go back and play some of the older games, then this list is perfect for you. And with all that said, let's get right into it. Earthbound is one of my favorite games to go back to. The humor and overall tone of this game is still unmatched today. There's really nothing else out there like it. The art style is bright and colorful, and it really is just a perfect SNES title to go back and replay. I think the last time I went back to it was a couple of years ago, and playing it really reminded me just how rare it is to play something just so incredibly timeless. One of the most significant reasons Earthbound remains visually appealing is its unique art direction. Unlike many games of its era that aimed for realism within the limitations of that 16-bit technology, Earthbound embraced a colorful, cartoon-like aesthetic. Its simplistic yet expressive character sprites, bright color palette, and imaginative enemy designs give it a timeless quality that doesn't suffer from the aging effects of the early 3D games. Unlike many SNES-era games that attempted pre-rendered or overly detailed sprites that now look pretty dated, Earthbound's minimalist yet charming visuals maintain their appeal. Nintendo has done this so well over the years, and Earthbound is just a perfect example of how art direction can contribute to the longevity of a game. Another reason Earthbound has stood the test of time is its storytelling, which is both whimsical at times and deeply emotional at others. Unlike many JRPGs of its era that focused on medieval fantasy settings, Earthbound presents a modern suburban world filled with humor and satire, and honestly some really heartfelt moments. The game's writing is filled with witty dialogue, quirky characters, and absurd situations that feel fresh even decades later. Despite its lighthearted tone, Earthbound also explores deep and sometimes dark themes. The way the game mixes humor with this profound emotional weight allows it to resonate with players on multiple levels, making it a timeless experience. This is one of my all-time favorite games, and I'm so glad it holds up so well. It's on the Switch Online, so jump on and play it if you haven't yet. Chrono Trigger is a truly special game that definitely stands the test of time. In fact, there's so many of these classics that I'd love to have remade, but Chrono Trigger is one of the few that I really feel is totally fine where it is. I've played this game so many times. I've played it on the SNES, on PC, on my phone, on the DS, and it's so perfect in every way. Similar to Earthbound, a key reason Chrono Trigger has aged so well is its beautiful art style and character design. Chrono Trigger definitely takes it up a notch with the art style. The game's detailed environments, vibrant colors, and expressive character sprites give it a polished and cohesive aesthetic that still looks just incredibly impressive today. Chrono Trigger also introduced a variety of gameplay innovations that make it stand out. Unlike many turn-based RPGs of its time, the game features a seamless active time battle system that allows for dynamic combat encounters. The inclusion of team-based tech attacks, where characters can combine abilities to create powerful moves, really was very creative for its time, and it's a mechanic that many developers are still to this day implementing and trying to innovate on in their games. Chrono Trigger also manages to eliminate many of the common frustrations of older RPGs. There are no random encounters, instead enemies appear on the field, making battles feel more natural. The game also lacks the need for long grinding sessions thanks to its well-balanced difficulty curve and just overall great pacing. At the heart of Chrono Trigger's success is its captivating story though. The game's time-traveling narrative, which spans multiple eras from prehistoric times to a dystopian future, keep me invested as I uncovered numerous mysteries. I mean, this game's story unfolds in ways you could never predict. And unlike many RPGs with linear storytelling, Chrono Trigger allows for player agency through choices that impact the game's ending. This encourages multiple playthroughs, and I can tell you, I've done multiple playthroughs. This is an incredible game and one of the best ever made. Get out there and play Chrono Trigger if you haven't yet. Pokemon Red and Blue laid the foundation for one of the most successful franchises in gaming. It truly is remarkable how fun this game is, and the core gameplay of Pokemon, even today, still remains. These games are addictive, and you can lose hours and hours to catching Pokemon, but there was something special about the originals that even when you go back and play them today, you remember exactly why you fell in love with these games in the first place. At its heart, Pokemon Red and Blue offer an engaging and strategic turn based battle system that is easy to understand but deep enough to encourage its mastery. The game's rock, paper, scissors style type advantages, status effects, and movesets provide this tactical variety that really is addictive. The ability to build and customize a team of 6 Pokemon adds an element of personalization that makes each journey unique. This makes for great conversations at school. I mean, I remember going to school and talking about these games. Did you catch this? Did you find this? And it really was a special time to just be completely obsessed with Pokemon, to be honest. The simple yet rewarding mechanics of catching and training these Pokemon taps into that human instinct for collection and progression. We all love to collect. We all love to get something rare and show it off. That thrill of encountering a rare Pokemon, leveling up a team, and evolving creatures into more powerful forms remains as satisfying today as it was at launch. One of the biggest reasons Pokemon Red and Blue have aged so well is their deep connection to nostalgia. For many players, these games were their introduction to the Pokemon universe, and revisiting them brings back fond memories of childhood adventures. The game's simplicity and charm make them approachable, even for those who missed out on them originally. Beyond nostalgia, Pokemon Red and Blue had an enormous cultural impact. They launched a multimedia empire that includes anime, movies, trading cards, and a continuous stream of brand new games. Their legacy ensures that new generations of players remain curious about the origins of the franchise. These are some of my favorite games of all time, and returning to them even today just feels incredible. Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance is one that I went back to after I started getting into tactics games. See, there was a long period of time where I just didn't really care for the genre all that much, but ultimately I ended up falling in love with them, and Fire Emblem became a series I wanted to go back and experience, so that's why I got to experience firsthand just how well this game holds up. At its core, Fire Emblem offers a deep and rewarding tactical RPG experience, just like most of the games in the series. The game's turn-based combat system requires careful planning, as each decision can mean the difference between victory and losing a beloved unit permanently. The permadeath feature adds significant stakes to each battle, encouraging you to think critically about positioning, movement, resource management. There really is a ton of strategy that goes into every aspect of this game, and if you let yourself really get into it, it's truly a rewarding experience. The game also features a really well-balanced difficulty curve. It provides an accessible starting point for newcomers while still offering enough challenge for those that have been playing tactical games for an eternity. The inclusion of a tutorial-focused lens story helps ease you into the mechanics without feeling really overwhelmed. In fact, I think this game has one of the best tutorials I've ever played. Despite being a more linear game, on the other hand, Fire Emblem offers significant replayability. You can experience the story from different perspectives, as one route offers new missions and dialogue compared to another. Additionally, experimenting with different unit compositions, support conversations, and different challenge runs ensures that no two playthroughs are exactly the same. The game's influence can also be seen in the franchise's continued success, with many of its mechanics and design philosophies carrying over to more modern Fire Emblem titles. This is another one that is available on Switch Online, so be sure to go play it if you haven't yet. Super Mario RPG is great, and it holds up just amazingly. It's one of those games I look back on and just remember having a blast playing it. I played the remake, and it just brought back so many great memories and reminded me just how much this game holds up from a gameplay standpoint. One of the most notable aspects of Super Mario RPG is its use of pre-rendered 3D graphics, which were cutting edge for the SNES at the time. While some pre-rendered games from the era have aged poorly, Super Mario RPG still maintains a unique and charming visual style. The remake brings everything up to an all-new level, but even before that came along, this really was a great-looking game. The expressive characters, colorful environments, and detailed animations help create a world that is full of personality. Unlike traditional RPGs that often involve complex mechanics and grinding, Super Mario RPG simplifies things and makes for a really accessible and streamlined experience. The game introduces action-based commands where you can press buttons at the right time to enhance attacks or reduce damage. This mechanic keeps battles interactive, which adds a layer of strategy to the moment-to-moment gameplay and keeps the turn-based combat feeling fun. Despite being a relatively short JRPG by genre standards, this game offers significant replayability. The game features hidden secrets, optional bosses, and collectibles that encourage multiple playthroughs. The challenge of mastering timed hits, discovering hidden treasure chests, and experimenting with different team compositions kept me coming back. The game's influence can be seen in later Mario RPG titles like Paper Mario and the Mario & Luigi series, both of which carry on its legacy of combining humor, action-based RPG mechanics, and accessible storytelling. The remake is a great way to play it now, and it just shows how well the game holds up because all that's really changed is how it looks. The game still plays very much like the original and is just as fun today as it ever was. Dragon Quest VIII is one of my favorite games and one of my favorite series. I would love a remake of this one simply so it's more accessible for everyone that wants to play it, but I played it on the 3DS a while back and can honestly say it plays far better than so many of the modern games we get today. This is easily one of the best JRPGs out there and one I think everyone should experience. Released in 2004 for the PlayStation 2, Dragon Quest VIII remains one of the most beloved entries in the whole series, and as the first fully 3D installment in the franchise, it brought classic turn-based mechanics into a beautifully realized world. It featured vibrant visuals, charming characters, and a very compelling adventure. Despite being over 2 decades old, Dragon Quest VIII has aged remarkably well. The game features a vast open world that encourages exploration, rewarding you with hidden treasures and side quests. This is something that the series overall has done so well, and Dragon Quest VIII is one of the best examples of it. Unlike many RPGs of its time that relied on linear progression, Dragon Quest VIII offers a more organic and immersive experience, giving you a true sense of adventure. Dragon Quest VIII delivers a narrative filled with humor, heart, classic fantasy tropes. The story follows a nameless hero and his companions as they embark on a quest to lift a curse placed on the kingdom. This well-paced storytelling, combined with witty dialogue and charming character interactions, kept me invested throughout the entire game. This is a truly special Dragon Quest game and one I think everyone should have the chance to play. Final Fantasy VI is many people's favorite Final Fantasy game, and for good reason. It is a special game that holds up really, really well, and one that was really impactful for its time. It has a story that has some of the best writing the genre has ever seen. Jumping into this one with the Pixel remasters last year had me shocked at just how obsessed I became with the game. I remember it being great, but oh man, this game is a truly special experience from start to finish. One of the key reasons Final Fantasy VI has aged so well is its emotionally driven story. Unlike many games of its era which focused on a single protagonist, Final Fantasy VI offers a true ensemble cast. Each of the game's numerous playable characters has a unique backstory, motivations, and personal growth arcs that enrich the overall narrative. Themes of rebellion, sacrifice, and redemption give the story an emotional weight that still resonates with me today. This is definitely one that had me thinking about it long after the credits had rolled, and I really love going back to it and experiencing that story again, and sometimes I even find new things about it that I didn't discover before. The game also features one of the most iconic villains in JRPG history. Unlike traditional world-dominating villains, Kefka is a chaotic and unpredictable antagonist whose descent into madness and ultimate rise to power make him one of the most compelling and terrifying foes I've ever experienced in a game. The impact of Final Fantasy VI can be seen in countless games that followed. Its deep storytelling, character development, and emotional weight set a benchmark for future entries in the series and the genre as a whole. Many modern JRPGs still take inspiration from its narrative structure and gameplay mechanics, and the Pixel remasters are a great way to go back and play this masterpiece, so definitely get on it if you haven't yet. Trails in the Sky is one of my all-time favorite games simply because I think it's unmatched in the way it handles lore and world building. There truly is nothing like it still today, and I wish more games would take this approach. Trails in the Sky throws you into what feels like this living, breathing world that already has so many plot lines in progress, and you're just part of one of them, and then the story progressively expands out so you learn more about what's going on around you. You aren't just spoon-fed everything that's going on, you kind of just learn it through playing the game. While Trails in the Sky uses a traditional turn-based combat system, it enhances it with grid-based movement and positioning. The orbment system, which allows customization of character abilities, adds another layer of depth to the battles. You can experiment with different setups to optimize your party's strengths and weaknesses, ensuring that combat remains fresh and customizable so you can approach it and play it how you like. The difficulty is very well balanced as well, providing enough challenge to require strategy and thinking while remaining accessible to those that are newer to this type of gameplay. Boss fights in particular, though, often demand a lot of planning, rewarding those who really take the time to understand enemy patterns and mechanics. You spend a lot of time in the menus preparing for these boss fights, and once you get through them, it is super, super rewarding, I can tell you that. Trails in the Sky has aged exceptionally well due to its slow burn storytelling and really intricate character development. It proves that a strong narrative and a well-crafted game can make this overall enjoyable for generations. Whether playing it for the first time or revisiting it years later, Trails in the Sky remains a benchmark for excellence in the genre, and even though it holds up incredibly well, we are getting a remake this year, and I can't wait to jump back in and see how well they handle modernizing such a great and timeless game. Ease, The Oath in Felghana, is a game I played a little bit of on PC a while back, but it was just released on console, and I would love to play it on my Switch. This game is incredibly fun, and the combat for this one will never get old to me. It's actually one of the defining aspects of this game. It ditches the side-scrolling format of Ys 3 in favor of the top-down action gameplay seen in Ys 6. Battles are intense, requiring you to use precise dodges, well-timed attacks, and special skills to defeat the enemies. The challenge is high, but quite fair, rewarding skillful play and quick reflexes. The magic system combined with swordplay adds variety to all the combat encounters, allowing you to chain attacks for maximum effectiveness. The game also features a well-balanced difficulty curve, making each victory feel well earned. Unlike more open-world RPGs, Oath in Felghana features carefully designed environments that encourage exploration and mastery. You navigate through these dungeons filled with challenging enemies, intricate platforming sections, and really clever puzzles. Secrets are hidden and treasures are scattered everywhere, rewarding you for actually taking the time to explore every corner in the game's world. I haven't finished it personally, but I put a few hours in a long time ago, and I really, really look forward to just seeing what this game has to offer because it's on my backlog. It's one of the next games I'm going to be getting to on the Switch, but definitely play this one if you haven't yet. Lastly, I have Final Fantasy X. This is a game that has mechanics that still wow me today. Let me do a little sidestepping for story time here, right? One of my good friend's kids recently started getting into RPGs, and of course I mentioned, hey, play Final Fantasy X. It will change your life. He played it and had one of the moments I felt when I played the game at launch. He told me he was hooked on the story, but not only that, he really became obsessed with all the mechanics and started watching videos and wanted to master this game. If there isn't a better sign of a game holding up well, I don't know what is. One of Final Fantasy X's greatest strengths is its emotionally charged story. The game follows Tidus, a star blitzball player. Yes, blitzball, the greatest sport ever known to man, but I digress. He is transported to a new world where he joins a summoner on an adventure that is as interesting as it is great. Final Fantasy X, being the first Final Fantasy game on the PlayStation 2, really pushed the limits of graphical fidelity at the time, and these graphics and art style still hold up really well today. The world is brought to life with beautifully rendered landscapes, from serene beaches to haunting ruins. Even in modern times, the game's vibrant color palette and detailed character models they hold up so incredibly well. The HD remasters also did really well at just bringing these games to just everything. You can play these games anywhere. So if you've been putting off experiencing one of the greatest games ever made, now is the time. Anyway, that's it from me in this one. Please be sure to let me know in the comments below what games you think hold up really well. There's a lot of them out there, but these 10 are the ones that immediately came to mind for me. I do want to let you know that me and my good friend Retro Brandon have started a podcast called Level Up Legacy, where we dive into all sorts of interesting topics on JRPGs, retro games, and just the industry in general. So be sure to have a listen. I'll link it in the description below. And until next time, I'm out.